we're back. We're here. We're on episode 4. We're finally back together. We are going to try to get 2 and 3 and 4 all uploaded. I know our Twitter is there. We're still going to be plugging that. We might actually have to post on our own personal social medias what we've been doing to try to get like some people involved, and then also upload 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
Actually involve it. But keep in mind, when we upload 2 and 3, we did that in November?
Sure.
We did it in 2018, and it wasn't in December, and it might have been...
It might have been in October.
It might, yeah.
It's like right around the end of October.
And we were thinking maybe we could do one more in November, and then everything kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
We got football in Texas is busy.
Stuff happens.
Stuff happens. But if we also like save money better, like that's part of the issue is school takes up a lot of money for me. Not that this stuff was cheap, but it's...
I say I don't have to pay for it anymore, but I'm still paying for it.
Yeah, so I'm not saying like this is super expensive stuff, but I mean it like added up, and then the space for it, and so I mean it's still a work in progress. But the camera thing was a surprise to me. The editing thing, we're working that out.
It's just a process.
So just
relearning how to edit, since I haven't edited anything since I don't know, December like 2016.
Yeah. Bodie's a better editor than I am, but I
have to relearn everything.
But the video too was messing up for me. So I think what we're just going to do now is just kind of do the audio, and then we'll just upload some pictures. So part of that is we're actually going to have to take pictures of each other and then decide what pictures we want to put to fill in for whatever we're doing. And we can't use pictures of the logos, I think.
Yeah, I don't have very many pictures of myself.
And I'm not going to do where it's like you're talking, so I put your picture up, and then like, I'm talking, I'm just going to roll pictures of us.
It's too much editing for us.
Yeah, too much editing. Like
for the amount of time we have.
For the amount of time that we spend together and actually do stuff together, not enough. But my Wi-Fi in San Angelo also takes like forever, so uploading for me is super ridiculous because it's not like here where I can it just goes. At San Angelo, I'm sharing with like 500 other people.
Yeah. My computer at work is... I am the server, so my computer has to work for everyone's computer to work, and it's just a mess.
Yeah, you out there.
Which makes everyone's computer faster except for mine.
Hand cranking it, get the little hamsters going. But that's where we are. That's what we plan on doing. I know it is a complete mess of whatever's happening, but we'll work on some stuff.
We'll work through it.
We'll
figure it out.
I'll probably write in the description.
It's a process.
We'll write in the description. We're still stuck at opening up videos because we don't know how to be like, hey guys, it's us. Because I think that's kind of cheesy.
Enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not enthusiastic. I'm not that high energy of a person.
We can barely end our episodes. Yeah. we can barely end our episodes. What makes you think we can open an episode? We barely end it. Well, I think last time we just stared into the camera awkwardly.
Basically.
I'm fine with that. I don't know.
It's a weird ending.
It's a weird ending. We suck at intros. We got to get, obviously we got to get better at a lot of things, but this is what we're trying to do. I think it's going to be good.
Easy come, easy go.
Alright, so we're back. To start off with, I know last time we did not give a warning about the dog, but she is awake right now, and she may or may not bark, so heads up on that. 4, we kind of slapped this kind of together at the last minute, and again, part of that is our fault, but I think we're going to look at the rankings. We're going to talk about if we're surprised about anybody, if we're happy of what people are doing. The trade deadline is coming up, so are you going to be who's selling, who's buying, who we think is selling and buying, because we haven't read rumors on that.
Got about a month, so.
Got about a month to do it. I think now is a really good time. We should have done this in November, December, to amend what we did in our first video.
I think we did it after like 10 games.
10 games?
I think the first time, so this is like the halfway point. Yes. A little bit better picture of what's going on.
It settles in a little bit more. I wanted to talk about Seattle and what you think they're going to be called, and who do you think they're going to be taking, or if they're going to redo everything like that, and then who is going to be the stadium sponsor, because I have fun stories on that. We can look at the halfway point, the disappointments of players and teams. I don't know about the Bolt thing. Everything goes down. We can talk about the ownership comments from Dallas, the Winter Classic coming to Dallas because we actually live here, and the playoff prediction of what's going on. Followed up by if there's anything else that kind of rattles into our minds while we're doing it. Yeah, so the dog's going to...
She's going insane in there.
Yeah, so... So, she's going to be doing her own thing. Can you stop? Okay. All right. So that's what we'll be doing. She's just going to entertain herself. This is going to be fun. Don't bring it in here. Rankings. Is that where you want to start? What do you want to start with? What do you want to do?
Yeah, we can look at the current standings, I guess.
Current standings.
See, figure out where the teams are that I guess we thought they would be. Central Division.
You want to start in
a
this?
Surprise.
You want to do by division, or do you want to do by wild card, conference, league?
Just go by the wild card, which is basically the division.
And you want to start in the Central, yeah?
Yeah. Nashville, no big surprise. Sitting up there in first place, I guess. I don't know. Rene's been not as good this year. Coming off that first Vezina. So, I mean, it's not really been that much of a surprise that Nashville's up there. They're not playing as good as they should be. But they've had to deal with injuries too, so... Winnipeg in second place. I don't know. I kind of had those flip-flopped at the beginning of the year in my predictions, so... I mean, they're not that far off. They're only a point behind Nashville at this point in time. Just a little over halfway, which Nashville has 3 games played over Winnipeg, so they got 3 games in hand there. And then Dallas sitting in third at the half-century mark, which is decent for 44 games. I think they're only on pace for about 92 points this year, which the way the Central's playing this year is good enough for a playoff spot. But Calgary's kind of been a shocker there in the Pacific. 60 points so far, sitting in first place in the West. Gonna have to steal Nashville's banner for the Western Conference regular season champions.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Vegas sitting in second place. After they kind of got off to a slow start. Nate Schmidt had his 20-game suspension, which was kind of, I don't know if it was the right call by the league. Get to that later. Then San Jose sitting in third. Erik Karlsson's kind of been on a tear lately. Finally kind of settled into San Jose somewhat. I think he's on a 14-game point streak right now, which is a San Jose record.
My man.
Just dominating. Getting more playing time with Burns. Probably doesn't hurt.
I mean, you gotta go.
He's doing it on his own, so.
I mean, I don't know. Keep going. I'll let you keep going. You're on a roll here. I'll let you go.
Colorado starting to turn into a bit of a firestorm in there right now. McKinnon kind of had it out with, what is the name of their coach? Bernard? Something like that.
I think so, Bernard.
But they kind of had a little spat last night on the bench during their 5-game losing streak, which is just... They hasn't really taken them out of the playoff race. They're still sitting in that first wild card spot, but after getting off to the start that they did with the top line and how they've been playing, they've kind of had a little bit of frustration lately, I guess, and that kind of builds between the coaches and the players. As long as they get it out and they can kind of figure it out, I think they'll be all right. That top line's still clicking along. Anaheim kind of just been in the middle of the pack so far for me. I mean, they've dealt with injuries to Perry. Gibson's kind of carried him most of the way so far this season with his play. He's been playing lights out for him. But we got those teams right now in the Western Conference that are sitting in playoff spots. I don't know if there's any surprises to you in the top 8.
In the top 8 for that, Calgary would be my surprise. Dallas is doing better than what I thought they would be. Like, I think San Jose is going to pass Vegas because I didn't think Vegas would repeat, but Calgary's a surprise. Now, I know Nashville has been dealing with injuries. I think they got Forsberg back, and so their goals are going to go up. I still think Winnipeg is too undisciplined at times, but they're just bigger, they're physical, and we're right over the halfway mark. We're 1 to 2 games over, depending on what's going on. San Jose, I know what happened when Spezza came from Canada to the United States, that he didn't have enough credit score in the United States to buy a cell phone, so I figured that helped. That happened with Carlson, and the way California is governed at times, it is a little chaotic. And with everything happening in his personal life and moving and trying to get enough credit and getting better, like, I think they play better on the road than they do at home at times. And I know Anaheim is like super beat up, but like I thought they would be there. But Calgary's really the big surprise for me. Colorado, I think I stated earlier, like I couldn't decide with Colorado, Minnesota, Dallas, and St. Louis what was going to happen because it's a cluster, so someone's going to tank. And the team that tanked that I was disappointed by was St. Louis because of the offseason signings, the bigger bodies, the head coaches there. The goaltending was definitely like the weakest thing for me, but now it's like they play the style of we're going to win 1 or 2-1. We're going to win close games. We're not going to blow people out of the water. I just think like what's been going on in St. Louis is just unfortunate, but I don't feel bad because I don't like St. Louis or Chicago that much. But yeah, that's the only surprise I have is I think Anaheim would be a little bit higher, and I thought Calgary would go in as a wild card. If not, I think Edmonton. Or I didn't even have I didn't have Vancouver where they are. When I'm looking at it, they're 2 spots out of a playoff wild card scene, but no, out of the top 8, Calgary would be the surprise. And Dallas is a little surprising. But
I think that's mostly because of Pettersson in Vancouver, with him being injured.
Yeah, they're doing that. Yeah, I don't know.
He's basically been carrying their team as a rookie so far. Him and Horvat.
I told you Rookie of the Year, right? And I think I had him. I watched 1 game of him. I watched 1 to 2 games of him, and I thought I watched the St. Louis, or not St. Louis, Jesus. I did watch some St. Louis games, but I watched Montreal and Vancouver play last week, and that Konechny thing. I was like, that's a fine to me. Like the way we're going, that should be a suspension. But we can jump on over to the Eastern playoff picture of where they're at now, if you want to do that.
How about that Tampa Bay Lightning?
every year though, it's like every
best regular season team in the league, man. It's just all about what they can do. Once everybody's like, oh, they only get to the conference finals. I'm like, everybody would love to get to the 3rd round with their team.
Yeah,
it's like I would rather go out in the conference finals for 4 straight years than not make the playoffs for a decade. But I mean, they've just been chugging along, 68 points so far, just over halfway through the season. So I think I saw a story the other day. They're on pace for about 139 points this season, 129, something like that. So. Talking about like the Detroit Dynasty teams.
We'll see, man. I'm not the only thing looking at it right now. Looking what's pulled up, Columbus is the biggest surprise to me.
Yeah, I could see that. Tortorella's still there, still guiding that team along. With all their situations that are going on with Panarin and Bobrovsky, where they're going to be next season.
Well, that's a fun topic to have in a couple seconds, but I mean, you got Tampa. I don't know. I like them. And I know Vasilevsky has been in and out of the lineup, and I'm a big fan of Louis Domingue, and somehow he ended up from Arizona to Tampa. So I look at Arizona, and this is completely off of what I know we're going back to the West, but Arizona, I really like Arizona and Carolina. But Arizona does things that Carolina doesn't do. Carolina went out and picked up 2 free agents and made some trades, right? And we saw what they were trying to do with Sebastian Aho, and they've put a track down that they're on the right path. While Arizona's like, any good player that comes here, we're just going to move them.
Yeah.
And that bothers me. And I'm like, you got a new GM and you can't be like, look, build young talent. I know right now in the world of sports, things that are and again, I think it goes back to our conversation of what influences everything else as a trend. And it's usually young athletes or young coaches that are more offensive-minded or gifted and talented. Why are you trading away Duclair, Domi, giving away like Domingue without fighting for it? Like, what are you doing? And I know they got who's their goalie now? They got Ranta. He's pretty solid back there. And and you have Goligoski and you have Derek Stepan.
Good defense.
Yeah, you're just building kind of like an older roster when I think when you had a younger thing, like a younger group of people, that was better.
You had a fast team.
Yeah, and they're okay. They're not... Once they traded away everybody, they're exactly where I thought they would be. Except for... Who is it? That's the wrong conference. They're doing
Besides
a little bit...
LA.
Yeah, besides LA and St. Louis. And St. Louis imploded on itself, and LA...
Didn't get off to a good start anyways.
Yeah, so...
Signing Kovalchuk.
But with... excuse me. With the Atlantic, I think you had... When we were looking at this earlier, you had Toronto at 1.
Mm-hmm.
I have Toronto at 2. I had Tampa at 1. We had those 2 things flip. Other than that, we called that perfect.
It's basically all the same.
Yeah, we called that perfect, and I think
we had Pittsburgh flipped with Washington, which they're 2 points apart, so they kind of go back and forth.
The way they did the off-season interviews, I had Pittsburgh at 1. I know I had Pittsburgh at 1 because they were like, we're not going to let Washington do this, and it's annoying to us, and we're going to come back. And they had another rocky opening, though. They were like, what were they, like 8th at one point in their division?
I think they were hovering around last place in the East at one point.
I was excited about that, but at the same time, like...
Everyone loves to see Pittsburgh fail.
Everyone wants to see the good teams.
But they always come around right around the halfway point or right around the right time.
November is the right time to be surging, but it was like, what are you doing again? I still think Pittsburgh's defense is a little bit weaker. And I remember watching them play Washington, and they were trying to get in fights, and I was just like, between...
lost Alexiak to Wilson.
Letang and Crosby. Letang is more likely to fight than Crosby is, but both of them have a history of concussions, and I don't think they want it.
Letang has a concussion history, just injury history in general, with Achilles and concussions and head injuries and everything like that. Plus, whenever he's in the penalty box, it's better for the other team because it takes away your best defenseman.
Yeah, so they're not going to fight, but I get, like, they were trying to get at it, and they were, like, yelling back and forth. It was a good game. I remember watching...
Wilson's become the all-around player in the league.
I think he's very underrated for what he does. He's also very hated.
For, about $4.25 million a year for the next 4 or 5 years in Washington?
But he does everything, though.
And he's up to 14 goals now on the season. I didn't see that coming.
He was like a...
Plus he's missed 14 or 12 games, however many it was, to suspension. Yeah. And he's still got more goals than a bunch of the guys in the league.
I think he's underrated at times, and people are going to dislike that. But if you look at his minor league or his AHL stuff or his younger days, he was more of a goal scorer than he was a fighter. And I think because he's just that big, people expect him to be that. But he does everything for that team, just about. Power play, penalty kill. He moves up and down the lines.
He can fight.
He's just big. When he gets up against like real tough guys, like Reeves beats him. Yeah, Reeves, and that's the
Reeves
story.
Just beats everyone.
Reeves beats everyone, but Reeves can only do
he's not a goal scorer.
Third and fourth line stuff. Wilson, I think,
chip in maybe 5 a year. I think he's up to almost 5 already though. So far, he's a net front guy.
Yeah, but I mean the coaching style fits pad statting kind of stuff. But he only plays like third, fourth line minutes. Wilson is able to do a little bit more than him. I think that's the new model of what you need, because sliding is kind of going down, but again,
Yeah, you can plug him in anywhere in that lineup, and
Yeah.
it just works.
but I don't know if Tampa has a person like that.
Kucherov. Nobody really fights on Tampa that I can think of except for maybe like Hedman.
And Toronto got rid of Martin. I think they only have
He's
Kadri.
back in with the Islanders with Clutterbuck.
Boston's a little more tougher. Boston's weird to me. Boston's where they should be,
If it wasn't for injuries.
but they're weird. And Columbus is a weird team. I think I had Columbus going in as a wild card.
I think I had him hovering around the top 3, but mostly a wild card. I predicted Philly, which was a mistake. Everyone's been fired in Philly.
But looking at this,
Montreal's a surprise to me. It wasn't to you, but
mm-mm.
I just didn't see. Even with the addition of Domi, I was like, I don't think it's really going to be. It's going to hinge on
No, they
Price once again.
got Thomas Price has been in and out.
Added Tatar. Got rid of Pacioretty.
Missed on Florida. That's the team I missed on. They let me down. I was telling you that earlier. But yeah, Columbus is a surprise. Mostly because not a huge fan of Tortorella.
Especially with the pass of the USA Olympics and what have you.
Well,
World Cup.
him and Rangers, he was good. That was okay. Vancouver's where it was like, are you really doing this? And then he went to Columbus. I'm like, that's kind of where I think careers die.
Yeah. But he's revived that team.
Yeah.
Somewhat, which they have good players there.
They got
They've made some good trades.
with Chicago.
Or other teams have made stupid trades. Getting rid of Panarin. Getting Bob from... Did they get him from Philadelphia?
I think so.
And they're like, oh, Philadelphia doesn't have goaltending. I'm like, well, you had Bobrovsky at
Hey,
one point.
They had
You had Brizgalov, which was...
no, they have I don't like them when they start Mason.
But now
Mason.
they got Carter Hart, who's been like their savior.
I like Neuvert when he's healthy.
Yeah.
I think he should start over Mason. Mason, I just don't. But
They've had Philly and Columbus have interchanged goaltenders.
yeah. But yeah, our Atlantic isn't a surprise. Columbus is my surprise. I don't know what your surprise
Buffalo.
was. Buffalo.
That 10-game winning streak came out of nowhere, flying high.
I'd jump on the bandwagon for that, and I said Montreal. I also said Carolina. I think I said that in earlier videos, that I was jumping on the Hurricane, and I was going to ride the Hurricane, and
Storm's coming.
storms are coming, and every time they win, I'm all about the celebration. I'm looking at what their differential is, right? This goal differential, they're -9. Means
That's terrible.
they're not awful, but I think they should start Mrazek more often than what they do with the other guy, Darling, right? They have,
Yeah, because Ward's in Chicago now.
yeah. And that was probably the smartest move by Chicago. But I'm about Buffalo. I said I was more for Montreal.
Jeff Skinner, man, just taking over, trying to earn himself a contract this summer.
Do it. That. Excuse me. Columbus is my surprise for this. Washington playing this well was also a very big surprise because usually when you win, you have a down
Everyone
year.
was like, "Oh, we party hard for like 3 months straight." Well, not just Ovi, everybody, Oshie, all of them, and then they came out in their home opener with the cup and everything, banner, and just destroyed within the first 2 minutes.
They
I'm
came
like,
out.
all right, came out with fire.
They came out and they were like, "Oh, this is supposed to be like
We're gonna do it again."
Yeah. Boston. I mean, it opens.
Boston's always steady.
Boston's steady, but again, I think Boston only plays with about 3 defensemen and the top 2 lines. Mostly the top line, because after the top line falls out, they don't have anybody, and that's the issue with I think a lot of teams. Pittsburgh gets production from mostly the top 2 lines.
Plus, it's all kind of hinged on Krug since Charles missed a majority of the season. McAvoy's been out for a long time, so they've been missing a couple of key pieces in their lineup. Plus, Tuukka's not having the greatest year of all time.
Tuukka's been all right. He's been meh. And again, I think it's just a Boston thing because we were saying Boston, right? Everyone's been saying Boston right now as a sports town is dynasty filled. You have the Celtics that are going to be good for a
They know
while.
how to win.
New England's always been very good. and Boston is
Red Sox just won the World Series.
yeah. So it's a big sports town, and you can see it right here in their record. Right, home they're 16-5, on the road 9-9-4.
Which is not terrible for a team. You want to be at least 500 on the road.
They're a little under 500.
But, I mean, that's not terrible. Most teams would wish for around 500.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you play around 500, at least maybe a couple games above 500, you're going to get in the playoffs.
I mean, it's going to shake out. I mean, we're halfway through, but we're just going to shake out. But the point is, don't play Boston at home. And Boston's going to have to, and this is what it's setting up for again, right? Is Boston's going to have to play Toronto again. And I think Toronto is right, because last year when they played, Boston had Game 7 in Boston. And that's going to be the difference is they're not a road team. Boston right now, not good on roads.
Yeah.
I think that's at least, I'm talking as a city, but right now for the Bruins too, not good on the road.
Just a majority of the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's iffy. I think they'll be able to split Game 2. If you can split if they go into playoffs right now, Boston has to win Game 2. I don't think they're going to win Game 1 or if you remember, no, you didn't watch the first game of Toronto and Montreal. You didn't watch it. No. Everyone had Tavares there, and they were like, "Oh, this is going to be great." That first period, Montreal for like the first 5 minutes, and it's like, oh god, I think
in the third period,
and the entire third period. I think I told you it was the entire third period.
Anderson saved him.
was just Montreal. I think if they get to Toronto and it's Game 1 of playoffs, you're playing Boston, you're in Toronto. If you're Boston, you have to score first in order to win Game 1. If not, you're splitting Game 2. You have to split Game 2.
Take that momentum.
Yeah, but if you come out in Game 2, Toronto's going to answer really well in Game 2. And then when you go back to Boston, you have a chance to go up 3-1 in the series, ideally, unless, of course, Toronto gets on you. But if it goes to Game 7, and it's in Toronto, I don't know if Boston wins. And it depends on how they play Game 6, and it depends on how well Toronto opens up for the beginning of periods. They've struggled.
You just want to get ahead in that series, that way you don't have to think about playing on the road for a Game 7.
If you're Boston, I don't know. I think that's everyone's thought, but
Tampa, you don't want to play your last playoff game on the road in a series.
Yeah, but again, Washington didn't care where they were at. Pittsburgh really doesn't care. Tampa can kind of do whatever. It's Boston that is concerned. Toronto was like,
I think Tampa Bay's a little better at home too, because they struggled against Washington when they were, which Washington won in Tampa Bay in Game 7.
Yeah.
So I mean, Washington, it just didn't matter where Washington played last year; they were going to win.
That's their thought on it, but
they refused to lose last year.
But Toronto is, I think, if we were to enter playoffs right now, like just looking at the top 6, right? Let's see who gets home ice advantage. Washington, Pittsburgh, Tampa, and Toronto. I think out of those 4, and then you have Columbus and Boston, I think Columbus is the weakest playoff team. But they match up really well against Pittsburgh, so
it's always a good series with Columbus and Pittsburgh.
I'm about that, but I think Toronto
and Boston's built up that rivalry over the last couple of years. Yeah. Toronto's still trying to get over Boston.
But I think Columbus is the weakest playoff team out of the top 6 of that. And then I would want to say Toronto, because they're just young, and there's pressure, and it's an issue, and they're at times they look too inconsistent.
I think Tampa would just roll over Montreal right now. Just the way they're playing at this point. I don't know how it would go with Washington and Buffalo. It'd be an interesting series. Buffalo's had spurts of greatness this year. Washington's been consistent. They've been better as of late. Yeah. But it would just be interesting who gets to hop on first. But then again, Washington fell behind 0-2 last year and came back. So it'll be interesting. See how it shakes out.
But I guess we can look at the rest of the league for the wild card in the East and the West. Which one do you want to start out in?
Let's start in the West.
Start in the West.
Back over there.
So, I'm looking at it right now, and the wild card is 1, 2, Colorado, Anaheim, and then 3 through 9 is Minnesota, Vancouver, Edmonton, Chicago, Arizona, St. Louis, and LA. Excuse me, I'm not the best at this. So, I led with, I believe, I'm going to start off with this. I couldn't decide, where are we in the Central? I couldn't decide out of Minnesota, Dallas, St. Louis, and Colorado who would be ranked 3 or 4. I had, to begin with, I had Nashville, Winnipeg, and then I had Minnesota because I was like, they're older, they should have more experience, they're looking to come back, they're not as healthy. I had Dallas as a bias, I had St. Louis because I didn't think they were that offensively skilled, and I said Colorado because they're a roller coaster. And where they're at now, and that's kind of how I ranked, where they're at now is Colorado is now looking like they're a consistent team. They play really, really physical. At every point of the game, they're fast, they're talented. They have them in Boston.
But their home record is not great.
Their home and away records
basically
are
9-11.
That's where they're inconsistent. That's what I'm saying. That's their inconsistency is the issue. But they're like a poor man's Boston. If Boston wasn't so old.
They've got one good top line, and then that's where all the scoring falls on, basically.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of teams are like that in the West.
A lot of teams are like that. But their second, third, fourth line play super physical. And Boston used to do that. I remember Boston being like just a physical team. And I remember LA being a physical team. Colorado is like a poor man's Boston for the West. Minnesota, I'm fine with them knocking on the doorstep of a wild card. I'm dying slowly, I'm sorry. I have Minnesota there. So anyway, so it's Anaheim, Minnesota, Vancouver, which is a surprise to me. Edmonton, they're lacking. Chicago was a surprise. Arizona, I have them right where they are. St. Louis imploded on itself, and Chicago's a little bit better than what they thought. And then LA, I believe I had LA making playoffs, didn't I? I had LA.
Just been a disaster.
I had LA under Edmonton, but I had Calgary and Vancouver and Arizona under LA.
Yeah, I had LA having around a wild card spot, and now they sit about 9 points out as of right now. They've been struggling in goal very badly. Jonathan Quick, not having the greatest of years, injuries, now being out with surgery.
Firing
so
the
it
head
kind of
coach.
falls on Jack Campbell.
Firing the head coach too. Yeah, no, they fired the head coach. They have the former Vancouver
Kovalchuk back into the fold.
Yeah, and they got they had that trade with Pittsburgh. They picked up who they get?
Sherry, I believe. I don't know though.
I think they got Pearson for somebody. They're in a weird spot. St. Louis is in a weird spot, but Chicago kind of surprised me. Arizona should be. Honestly, Arizona should probably be underneath St. Louis and LA, but they're managing. And then I think Edmonton should be where Minnesota's at because of how talented they are. And like I said in the previous videos that we have never uploaded yet, but if you go back, I said their head coach is not going to make it through the season. He should be the one that gets fired. And I disagree with St. Louis firing Mike Yeo. Excuse me. But those are the two coaches I remember being fired. Is Yeo from St. Louis and is it McClellan?
McClellan went from
Edmonton, yeah.
After leaving San Jose.
I wanted him to get fired from Edmonton.
Yeah.
This dog. But
then Quenneville got fired in Chicago.
that
was kind of out of nowhere.
I
So
think
it kind of got off to a slow start, but with the team that he has, I mean, he has a good team. He has Kane and Taves, but below that, your management is traded away a bunch of your future stars on that team. So you really rely on that top line.
It's not good. I mean, Chicago's played a little bit better than what I thought they were going to play us. But Vancouver, is the season surprise. So if you were to ask me who's the surprise of the season, besides Calgary over here, because that's what we're doing, right? We're doing season surprises right now. Definitely Vancouver. Oh, I'm sorry, dog. Yeah, sorry. Definitely Vancouver is a surprise. Edmonton is a disappointment to me. And St. Louis, I really thought St. Louis, again, even though I don't like them, they signed two big bodies. They got O'Reilly and Maroon. And I thought, oh, they're going to play physical. They're going to come in and help Tarasenko. And it just hasn't happened.
Yeah. Tarasenko's having a down year, so that makes it even worse.
Well, everyone's having a down year. And I said,
Jake Allen.
Everyone. But Allen's real iffy.
Yeah. It's always been kind of, that's what they had back when they had Elliott. It was like Elliott or Allen. One was consistent, one wasn't, and then the other one was inconsistent. So it's just been kind of back and forth on goaltenders with that team for a while.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is. Minnesota, I would think, would be higher to me. They're usually always in the top 3, so that's where I expect them to be every year. But they've kind of dealt with injuries and different things. Parise trying to get back to health.
Yeah, but they're also the oldest team in the NHL, too. Yeah, so I'm not surprised by them. I'm just a little, I'm not as surprised by them. But, live action. But yeah, LA, for where I had them, they're a surprise to me. But if we could amend it, obviously I'm going to put LA not making playoffs, St. Louis not making playoffs, Arizona not making playoffs, and Chicago is not going to make it. I think Edmonton has a chance, and if Vancouver is healthy enough, they'll make it, but they're going to be a first round out.
Yeah, Edmonton just doesn't have enough to. I don't know. They're consistently inconsistent. They make I think I wrote it on Twitter the day, maybe not the day after, but right before the preseason of the year after they made it to the second round against San Jose. I said, I bet you $100 Edmonton doesn't make the playoffs next year. They have that one good season. They're like, oh, they're on the uptick. McDavid's come back in to save them, and then it's like they just fall right back into where they were. McDavid puts up 110 points, and Edmonton gets about 60.
No. I expect more out of the players. I expect more out of the head coaching. They hired Hitchcock, and again, I think he needs to just stay retired. You could have fired McClellan and picked up Quenneville, because I really think he would have done that a lot better. I don't know who you're going to get. They might get Mike Yeo.
It's a possibility.
He's out there. Or you might get a whole new coach. I don't know what they're going to do. There's rumors to it, but I know you're not going to re-sign Hitchcock. And if you do, you're going to fire him halfway through the season. You're going to waste another season. If you're Edmonton, that's where I think. And I think Vancouver, if they draft really well, who knows? They're on the. Where are they at here? If I could look at points, if I'm not blind, they're 2 points out. Chicago's 6 points back, but let's be honest. If Chicago keeps losing, they're not going to make it.
No.
They're not. They're terrible on the road. They're okay at home. You get to overtime, you're getting points.
Yeah, their goal differential is really, really bad. For a team that's in the middle of the Arizona is, 1 point below them, and there's a goal differential of 23 in between both of them.
Yeah.
Which Crawford went down with another concussion. Who knows if he'll come back.
Again, that's why you picked up Ward. I think that was the smartest thing they did in the offseason, was picked up Cam Ward. I don't like the trade for Saad for Panarin. And let's go back to the East and look at this. Yeah. Surprise right now. I'm surprised by the Islanders. I said Buffalo or Montreal could be a wild card, and I said I was rooting for Carolina. Florida is... Oh, my God, I'm losing my points again. Florida has... What are they? 41, and you need... They're 10 points out, so they can manage to get there. But the Islanders were a surprise to me. I thought the Islanders were going to be really bad. Carolina, I was rooting for. Florida, I read that article, and then, I don't know. I don't buy them making playoffs right now. I don't think they make it. The Rangers aren't going to make it. New Jersey was a surprise to me. Detroit fell flat of what they needed. Detroit just couldn't score. And Ottawa... They went from being the 1 seed And I was like, oh my God, this is not right. And now they're where they need to be, and I'm happy. Where they're at the bottom. And the other major disappointment out of this is Philadelphia.
Yeah. They have good players on that team.
They have a good coach. They have young players. They fired Hextall. I don't know what it is. It's like they make playoffs or they're on the bubble of making it, and then you make it, and then you miss it, and then you make it again. They are like L.A. If I had to compare, I used to compare L.A. to Boston all the time. No, L.A. is Philadelphia, and Philadelphia is L.A. They'll play physical. They'll score close games. They'll win 2-1. They'll win 1-0. They'll make playoffs one year. They miss the next. That's what Philadelphia is. Philadelphia is the new L.A., and they're disappointing me.
Yeah.
Your surprises.
I mean, I'm surprised with the Islanders, too. I know they brought in Trotz as a new head coach and stuff like that, but losing Tavares, I thought that would affect them a whole lot more than it has. Barzell's kind of stepped up and taken the lead there and kind of been their best player so far, which, I mean, he was up there with the Rookie of the Year last season, so, I mean, he's kind of stepped in and taken more of a leadership role in his second year for the team. Carolina, they're kind of, I thought they would kind of be around a wild card, not close. They're kind of right where I thought they'd be, about 6 points out. Buffalo is probably the biggest surprise for me. Skinner, I didn't think, it's like, oh, traded with Carolina for Skinner. I'm like, well, he hasn't really shined that much in Carolina, and then it happens with players all the time. Change of scenery, comes in, and now he's got, close to 30 goals already so far this season, and they're just over halfway through, so, I mean, that's really been the biggest surprise for me. I just, with Buffalo, I didn't think there was much there. You had Eichel, you had Skinner in, and I was like, all right, you had Leonard in net. I'm like, it's kind of basically the same team. You just added somebody from Carolina, but they've really kind of gelled together as a team. Housley's always been a good coach. I think it's just kind of come together for him a little bit more over this last season or so. New Jersey kind of fell off. I was surprised about that. I mean, Taylor Hall had that great season last year. Now he's been out injured this year. It's really affected them. Their goaltending's not where it used to be, obviously, with Brodeur. Nobody's going to top that guy, but I mean, it's just been kind of a struggle for him. And then Philadelphia, like you said, just to be that far out at this point in the season is like, it's kind of shocking. I know they've went through with management and firing coaches and everything. They've struggled with having consistent goaltending. Now they've got Carter Hart, who's kind of shored up that position for them so far, but it might just be a little too late for them.
Yeah. No, they were a disappointment to me. Neubert's been hurt. Their goaltending's been an issue. I thought they should have held on to Mrazek and they sent him down to Carolina. Carolina, I still buy into. They're on the right track. Detroit just could not score. They have so much young talent. They couldn't score. New Jersey, I don't know what happened. I don't know. That's been a wreck. And the Rangers are a little further up than I thought they would be. And same with Florida. But other than that, I'm pretty pleased about the playoff picture for them. The Islanders are the surprise, and Philly are the two biggest ones are the Islanders and Philly. Everyone else is right where I thought they would be. So from this, let's see. We did. I'm pretty happy with where the teams are at. Mm-hmm. We can do, since the trading thing is a month away, and we can also talk about the All-Star game. I'm thinking about that now. But if you had to fix your rankings real quick, let's do that. It's wrong thing. We're looking at them. If you had to fix your rankings of what you had going on, who would you? I know we were supposed to do this, but would you rank anyone differently now? I know this is like the First Amendment. We were going to do this in December. A little late to the party, but is there a team you would move up or down on?
Obviously, like in the Metro, starting off Jersey and Philadelphia. That kind of didn't work out for me. So far, the Phillies dropped all the way to the last. But, I mean, there's really not that many teams in that division besides the top three that are really been competitive so far this season, besides Columbus, Pittsburgh, and Washington. Another one for me would probably be, if I went to the Pacific, is LA. I didn't expect them to struggle as badly as they have so far this season. It's just been kind of not really. They had that one streak early on in the season where it seemed like they kind of were putting pieces together, and then it just kind of went back to where they started the season, and it's been kind of the same ever since. In Edmonton, they're about where I thought they'd be. I just don't know what the piece would be for them to put in there. Probably coaching, which has been their problem for the last decade and a half, basically, since they went to the Stanley Cup final. But, I mean, other than that, even in the Eastern Conference, Montreal, I didn't think they would be as good as they have been. So I would probably bump them up a little bit, along with Buffalo. That was a surprise to me. I thought they would be in the cellar like they have been, or right around the middle of the cellar. But, I mean, other than that, everything is kind of where I thought they'd be, except for maybe Colorado, too. Colorado was a little bit of a shocker, how good their top line has been so far this season.
They managed to get it together. I think next year they're not going to be as good.
No.
No, I bought into Montreal. I think I said Detroit, Florida, and Buffalo. I don't know what I would rank them as, but I thought Detroit would be better than Florida, and Buffalo would maybe get it together. Buffalo's made quiet moves. I think they get good play from everybody. The Islanders are the team I would like to fix out of that. And New Jersey would be my fix. LA, too. Other than that, if I looked at it, I didn't think Calgary would be here.
Yeah, shocker.
I got to start with, what we're looking at is our picks from the beginning. And so I had Vegas at 1, because I was like back-to-back. And San Jose, Anaheim, and I think that could still happen. Then I had Edmonton as 4th. They might be 5th. Calgary will go ahead of them as 4th. That's where I'm going to put Calgary where Edmonton's at, and then I'll put Vancouver behind Calgary, and then Arizona, then LA. And I think that's how they're going to kind of maybe finish out. You still have LA, or you still, not LA, you have Anaheim finishing first. You still think they're going to be able to do that and pull that off?
I think if they can get healthier, which I know Perry's going to be out basically a majority of the regular season, and Gibson was kind of their savior early on in the season. I don't know if they can. They did have it that way last season where they were really kind of around that wild card spot, and then the last 2 months of the season they surged and battled with Vegas for the Pacific title in San Jose. So I think if they can kind of play like they did at the end of last season, if they can really get it together, get injuries all sorted out, and Gibson keeps playing the way he is, I think there's a chance that they could take first. But my guess right now would probably be either Calgary or San Jose. They've been really one of the dominant teams, but if I was to bet on anybody, I would say San Jose over Calgary, just from San Jose dominating the Pacific for the last little while.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm gonna. We're sorry. She's gonna bark too. We're busy, Sass. No, I think Vegas is gonna pull it out. I don't know. I think Calgary might do that. Stop. Perfect. Anyways, I think Calgary might drop to a wild card, honestly. I don't think they're going to be able to maintain what they've been doing. I think they're too small. I don't think they're consistent enough to do it. I think their goaltending is going to become an issue. And when they make playoffs, they just get physically dominated every year. I don't know. I think they might fall a little bit, and I think Anaheim will slip in at 3. That's where I'm seeing it. But we can move on from that. So, you surprised? Let's do the other thing you had. Are you surprised by any players, or are you disappointed by any individual efforts? I'm sure their fan bases will be very upset with people. I know our fan base since we're Stars, our fan base really are upset with Ben and Sagan. But
Yeah, I was interested to see all the comments. How everyone's been bashing, not Sagan, because Sagan's really kind of had a string of bad luck with posts and everything like that, but everyone's been dogging Ben all season long, and then the moment Jim Lights comes out and says something, everyone's on Ben's side now. Like, oh, we back the players. I'm like, but you've been saying the same thing in the comments all season long. So I'm not sure where you stand on this, but it changes from day to day how they feel depending on a certain game.
We talk about this group all the time, and I don't write anything in there. I will read stuff in there.
I don't know if it's the same with every fan base. It might be.
I'd like to see others. I know I don't know about you, but since I follow all the teams on the Instagram, since I follow the teams on the gram, we get offers to get followed from fan pages, and I don't read the comments on Instagram, but if I did that on Facebook, I'm sure I'd get the forums. I think Detroit is pretty critical of their players, and Pittsburgh would be too. I think Malkin's kind of having a down year. I haven't heard his name pop up a lot, but again, for the Stars, I'm not I honestly think Ben should shoot more, and I think I just think they should shoot more in general. I think I tell you that all the time. If you would just shoot, we would be okay. I know people are disappointed in Val. He's looked good. He's created stuff. He's not scoring, but once he scores, I think it's golden.
I think they drafted him to be a scorer, and it's kind of turned out to where he's not really a scorer. Maybe not in the NHL, at least. He's kind of a create chances kind of guy.
He's played well.
He's starting to get stronger, and he's starting to win the battles on the boards. He'll get there eventually. I don't know if there's an over-under on if he'll score 1 goal this season. Already halfway through, so.
He'll get one. I think it's like Sagan. Once he gets one, they'll just start flowing in for him. People are like, with the comments, I guess we'll go down this road too. With the comments, I don't know. That's just his opinion.
Yeah.
Sagan has the third most shots right now in the NHL, and I go, at some point it will pay out.
Along with the most posts hit in the NHL.
Yeah.
So I'm like, there's kind of a correlation there. You're shooting more, you're going to hit more posts, but you're also going to score more in the long run.
Half of that's maybe like luck, and I'm just like, it'll pay out. I want Ben to shoot more. I think they're more right with the disappointment in Ben, but I'm not mad at him. I'm just like, it's like, what do you want him to do here? Like, I want him to shoot. If you were like, what do you want from him? I want him to shoot a little bit more because I know he can snipe.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of theories on there like, well, if you're going to criticize the team, it's like, how are you going to criticize your top 2 players if it wasn't for them, your team wouldn't be where they're at? I'm like, well, you have a point on both sides though.
I'm not mad. I mean, I'm not disappointed. I think again, I'm like, we are where we are supposed to be at. I'm more frustrated with the power play. I'd be more critical of that.
Yeah.
How are we not top 5? I don't know.
It's like you have all that. You've had that firepower for the last 5 years, and your power play has been at the top, and it's kind of been mid-pack, and then this season it's kind of around the bottom 10.
I'll say our goaltending has been great, statistically speaking. Off the eyeball test, I know.
The greatest. I would say, even though the statistics would say otherwise, I would say Goudobin's been the better goaltender than Bishop to me. He's more consistent.
Dobby, yeah. I think I
and just the way he plays too. Bishop seems to get too far out of the net at sometimes, and Goudobin kind of stays more compact, which he kind of has to when he's a little bit smaller goalie. But you would think with Bishop with the size, he'd be able to stay in the net a little bit more than he has.
I think technically speaking, if you were to compare them to Price, Khudobin or Dobby would be the best comparison. And Khudobin just looks to be in the right spots the majority of the time. And I'm fine with Ben playing the puck. It's where the game is going. Sometimes it's a little questionable with the turnovers. Like when we played St. Louis, that was nerve-wracking.
Yeah. I think he's just a little too late on the thought process. He gets out and he doesn't know what he wants to do, and then he waits till the last second to to try and pass the puck or create something.
And Hudobin does that, not the last second, but he plays the puck. I think every goalie is starting to realize that we're going to have to play the puck. Our defense has gotten better. The thing that drives me up the wall with Dallas right now, and I know this is becoming more of a Stars talk, but the first period drives me up the wall. Sometimes I look at it and I go, okay, that's fair. Other times when we go down by a lot, it's like, why do we only have 3 shots? I'm just like, I know it sounds stupid, but just shoot. It sounds repetitive, and it's like, cross the blue line, shoot, regather the puck. And it's like, that's so simplistic, and I understand that's really difficult. But they come out in the second, they outshoot everybody, and it's like, why can't we do this in the first? Or in the third? Again, St. Louis dominated the third period after that timeout, and I was like, look, it's 3-0. They're going to come. Like, we got to be ready. And
it takes is one.
Yeah, it looked really iffy at times. And we won 3-1.
Thanks to Goodovin. Or Bishop. And Bishop. Lindell.
Yeah, Lindell with the real MVP. It's stuff like that. And it's like, I think our defense, everyone was criticizing it. It was youth. I was like, we're not ready yet. This year, I think we're a little bit better. Klingberg kind of worries me at times. A lot.
I know it was bad because he's their number 1 defenseman besides Heiskanen, but I think Klingberg going down was the best thing for Lindell because it allowed him to step up, and he's kind of become that 1B defenseman for you.
Yeah.
He's become more defensive-minded, and he creates offense as well. He's good on both sides of the puck.
I like, I know Mathot's never healthy for us right now, but I think the addition of Mathot and Polak has also been really helpful for him because it's like, dude, you're 6'3", you have more muscle mass than Heiskanen and Klingberg combined.
Yeah.
Use it. And then he's like, I can use this now. And I want to see Johns come back because if you put those guys in, we're a physical.
It's going to make you more physical.
Yeah, I'm like, we needed a physical defense. We're at that point now where we have a physical defense. Excuse me. I think, again, Hudobin is a better-looking goaltender off the eye test. Now the stats will say something different. But off of just, like, watching him, if you just, again, it goes back down to, I think the best thing I've heard from, like, a talking sports person who actually is paid to do this was put your TV on mute. When you watch a sports game, put your TV on mute, turn off the closed caption so you don't hear the announcer, and then just watch. Just watch the game and ignore, like, the stat lines and just see what's happening. Because sometimes the stats are misleading. Not all the time. You have to have, like, a good analytic base. But if you were just to watch it...
And even the commentating. Because it might lean a certain way. It's like, oh, this is the player to watch, and he may not have any effect on the outcome of the game once it comes to the end of the result.
Yeah. I'll use this as an example for the NBA. When... I know you don't really watch it, but when you... Let's say you watch Houston, or you watch... LA, or you watch whoever, right? When you watch those two teams, I watch, not because they just have the ball more, but I watch LeBron and I watch Harden, because those are just two players you just can't take your eyes off of. Crosby is like that. Malkin's like that for me. McDavid is a good example. Ovechkin. I think Ovechkin, and even if he does, Oshie, even if Ovechkin doesn't have the puck, you know he's going to hit somebody. And so that's what it comes down to. I think Ben can be like that. It's just in spurts. And I'm not saying do it all 82 games. I get that.
And Oshie's been that way. That seems like ever since he's come over to Washington, I'm like, I don't remember Oshie being this physical when he was with St. Louis, because he didn't have to be.
Yeah.
He had all the guys around him to protect him. That way he could be a goal scorer, but now he's kind of added that to his game.
Yeah. And so with Lindell, I think the development of that helps. But for the Stars, like, it's still the same problem. And Como came over and that helped. I don't like that we don't have secondary scoring too often.
Yeah.
That's my issue. But I think once we get it, I think once we get it, it's going to be fine. He's still juggling the lines.
Trying to find something that works for that second line.
But it's coming.
Which he's kind of split up Ben Sagan and Radulov. Had Ben and Radulov together. He's had Sagan and Radulov together. They split off one of the players to put him on a second line to try and create something.
Val creates stuff. And again, it's one of those things. It's like people are really... They asked in the group, who's underperforming? And they go Ben, and some said Sagan at times, and they go, Val's really underperforming. And people are just unhappy. And it's like, look, not everything has to be goals.
Yeah.
We get focused in on the goals and assists, and I know I get focused in when I play like that, but you got to do other things really well. Lindell does other things really well. Hiskinen is just memorizing but Polak does things really well.
Yeah. He just like dominates on the boards.
Yeah. That's how I think you should start meetings. This is what we do really well, and it should be Lindell, Polak, or whoever taking somebody out of the play and being like, "This is what we need to do."
Yeah.
But any other players? Now we'll get off of Dallas. Any other players that are disappointing you in the league? I know maybe the first couple of games, to me, it was Erik Karlsson. But it's like I said, when you move from one nation to another.
You've only been with one team your whole career.
Yeah, you're going to take a while to fit in. Not to mention, you're going to take a while to get like unpacked and moved in and settled. Again, you don't have American credit when you come from Canada. I've only heard stuff, but I think once you move, like if we were to move to Canada, we don't know anybody. We don't have a line of credit set up down there, and if we moved into a French-speaking part, we don't really know French.
Like you're basically starting over from scratch.
Yeah, like it's going to take a couple of months to get settled in. And maybe if you're on the road, it works out a little bit more because you have to be with the team. But at home, okay, you got to drive, you got to find new restaurants to go to, you got to find new friends that aren't hockey-related. Again, I think this is where we get caught up because it's like we want to just talk about hockey, but I think there's so much more we can actually offer.
Probably not. One player, I know it's going to sound stupid because I'm like, well, everybody expects him to do this every season, and he basically fulfills it every time as Ovechkin. I thought for sure there was going to be some sort of Stanley Cup hangover, and now he's come in and like basically 30 goals in 40 games. So I'm like, all right. I didn't see him putting up 60 this season, but it's a possibility.
He'll do it. Who else would like?
And Skinner. Skinner's been the biggest surprise for me. I didn't see him as like an elite goal scorer.
He'll be good. I'm happy with that. Maybe Kopitar and Tarasenko have been the disappointments.
Underwhelming, for sure.
Yeah.
Anaheim, that whole kind of top line that they built over there is like Kopitar, Brown, and Kovalchuk have not really. Brown has just had, ever since he lost the captaincy, has not been the same player.
I don't think he's had health.
Yeah. I mean, it's just been a struggle for him. And Kopitar just signed that big contract. Doughty just signed his big contract, and they've kind of just fallen off.
Laine?
Laine's been a bit of a surprise. I thought he would be right around where he was last year, around that 40-goal pace. I don't even know how many goals Laine has this season.
I think he's... I'm sure we can look.
I'm sure it's a decent amount, but not where... I think for the first time in about 10 years, Dallas didn't get scored on by Laine the last game. Even though Winnipeg put up 5 goals, Laine didn't score a single one of them.
Yeah, Tarasenko has been underperforming to me. And I know this is going to lead into our topics, and the entire Philadelphia team, Giroux, their leaders, Voracek, Simmons, they've been a disappointment. Am I surprised by anyone? Probably the rookies.
Mm-hmm. There's a good group this year. Just a little bit. Pettersson surprised me just because of size. Like, I didn't think coming in, he's such a small guy. He has a shot.
I told you, like, I think he's going to be Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically running away with it, just points-wise.
I think if, Brady Tkachuk didn't get injured, I think that'd be the race for it.
Yeah.
But they've both, I think Brady's been a little more injured than Pettersson, but... Excuse me again, I'm sorry.
I think that cost him early on, missing all those games.
Cost
Ottawa
the
month of the season. They were both hot.
Yeah, and the guy out in Montreal, I like him. He's pretty smart. He's not a goal scorer. I don't think he has a decent shot. I mean, I say that as in like compared to everyone else, he has a decent shot, but obviously he has a good enough shot to be in the NHL. Kotkaniemi.
Who injured Pettersson? Not on purpose.
Not on. I like him. I think he's going to be really good. That's like the new offensive way for Montreal. I like that. And there's one other rookie that I was just like, I like him too.
I'm not sure.
Darlene's been really good. Darlene was expected to be really good. But dude, his size, I was so surprised about how big he was. How big he was.
He's like, what, 6'2", 6'3"?
Compared to the rest of the rookies, like he's just big.
Yeah.
I think he looks bigger than Eichel at sometimes. Like, physically bigger. But I like Pettersson, and I like the Kachuk's playing style. Just in your face.
Yeah.
Like, just
it's like their dad, man.
Sounds good. But yeah, I'm not really...
Yeah, Darlene is 6'3", 190.
Yeah.
He'll put some weight on.
He'll be 220, maybe?
I don't know about that.
Let's see.
210, maybe.
Landeskog and McKinnon. Just the Colorado front line, I'll say that way. Mikko Rantanen.
Like, what, 165 points this year?
Something ridiculous like that.
Kucherov. I didn't see that coming.
The assist or him just playing that
just
well?
Just him. Just overall.
I think he's usually top 5, isn't he? He's pretty good. Goaltending. Leonard.
Jack Campbell.
He's
Best save percentage in the league with the worst team in the league. What does that tell you?
Dude, the fact that here's... Boston Tuukka always looks like he's underperforming, and then he's top 10 goaltending leaders. If I was looking, where is this at in goals? Let's pull up these goals here. Where is our man Laine? He's in 13th. And Cam...
I didn't even know he had 24 goals this season.
Yeah.
Patrick Kane's been on a tear, too, for Chicago.
Him, too. He has a lot of points here.
And Braden Point, he's been really good for Tampa Bay.
The rookie right here at 18th. 22. And he's only played, what is this? Games played 38 games.
42 points. So, I mean, over a point a game as a rookie.
And with really no help. Matthew Tkachuk's right here. Where is Brady? Where's my man Brady at?
I think Brady's a little further down the line.
Probably.
Just because of injuries.
Right here. And when you were like, let's do, can I get points? Here we go. We'll look at the points here. I see where, and we'll go back to lights. I see what he's saying, because Tyler Seguin is 36 out of the league. You expect more, and Malkin's 30. This is where I'm like, you're underperforming because this is.
I think it's just because other players are stepping up their performance this season.
Crosby's 11th. Okay, if we were to look just at the top 10, and I go, who do you think is in the top 10? Like, who would you expect there? You would think Crosby and McDavid.
Ovechkin.
And I don't. Ovechkin doesn't pass, so I don't.
He's a goal scorer.
Yeah,
so he's usually around the 70-point mark. So
but
he's not always in the top 10 at the end of the season in points wise. I would think Backstrom maybe. He's a setup man.
Backstrom would have more points.
Thornton's usually up there just because of assists.
Yeah.
But I mean, just the typical players that you name off, even Malkin too. Malkin's usually up towards the top, Stamkos.
Here's starting at 10, we'll go backwards. It's Sean Monahan, and then Mitch Marner, Blake Wheeler, Braden Point, Patrick Kane, Connor McDavid, Johnny Gaudreau, Nathan McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, and Kucherov.
I think I would have guessed maybe one of those names out of the top 10. No, that's McDavid.
You have McDavid and Kane that are going to be top 10. I could see McKinnon being there.
Gaudreau came out of nowhere.
Gaudreau and Kucherov kind of came out of nowhere.
And even Monahan, too.
Mm-hmm. That's
Monahan
just important.
Usually goes under the radar in Calgary.
So let me do these goals things. Okay, with goals, I expect Ovechkin to be 1, and then Laine. Laine makes 10.
Yeah.
Laine's at 10.
And Pavelski, too. Which Pavelski is usually consistent.
But I think they want Kane to score more than Pavelski on that team.
I think Point's a surprise with Tampa Bay. He was a good playoff player for him. He kind of stepped up last year. and kind of led them offensively. So he's kind of come out of the gate the same way during the regular season this year.
It's not a bad lineup here, but Jamie Benn's 40 when it comes to goals, and I think he's definitely better than Ryan Dzingles and Anthony DeCu and Chason and Duchesne. I don't know if he's better than Duchesne. I think he can score more than Duchesne. I think he can score more than
They have the
Taves.
same type of shot to me.
Yeah.
They don't shoot, but they can shoot. They have the ability, like all the other players, Ovechkin and all them, to have around 25 goals at this point in the season, but they just don't shoot enough.
Sagan's at 43. Ben is at 40 with goals at 17. That's the only thing I'm disappointed in. I know they'll come. I know it'll come.
I mean, Sagan stepped it up. Multi-goal games in like 3 of the last 4.
Yeah, he's been solid. Look, right here. You got, for assist, Kucherov, Wheeler, Rantanen, Burns, Marner, McKinnon, Gaudreau, McDavid, Carlson, Giordano, John Carlson from Washington, Huberdeau from Florida, Backstrom at 13th, Eichel, Kane, Giroux, and Crosby. And then Sam Reinhart.
And Morgan Riley's kind of been a surprise this season for Toronto.
Dude,
Point per game as a defenseman.
That was funny as hell to me.
He could score 30 goals this season.
He could. He could. So,
Might as well put him up on a forward line with somebody.
I just think, Wayne Simmons has been Philly's just been a little underwhelming to me. So
Nylander has more goals than Nichushkin this year.
Yeah, that's so messed up.
Prince Charming from the Shrek movies has more goals.
I feel so bad for Val. I really think people underappreciate him.
It's like he's trying so hard.
Did he create?
It's like he wants to score more goals than anybody, but
I think he gets one, he'll definitely get 2 more.
it's like he just needs that one.
Just once you get one, he'll
Put
get
him on the
over
power play, which I think he's on that second
it.
unit.
He's on second unit. That power play.
Throw him up on the top. Put him in front of the net. Do that high tip.
Dude, he would. I
Get
just,
the man a goal, people.
I'm about it. He's still like my favorite player. Someone's like, who are you? I just root for him.
I want him to succeed because he hasn't yet.
Yeah.
Not to the level that he could be.
I think if he shot a little bit higher sometimes.
Because even Yager, when Yager was, Yager's like, it looks like he could be the next me.
Yeah.
I was like, that's pretty high praise. He's got the size and he plays the same way. He can protect the puck. He's never been a finisher.
He's never been. I think
He
again,
creates chances, but he can't finish.
he just needs to be slightly more physical at times. I think if he just got a little more physical and just added muscle to him, he gets the puck knocked away from him sometimes a little too easy. But if I was 6'4", I'd be nailing people. I'd be dunking on people. I'd be nailing people. There would be no stopping me.
I would love to be 5'10".
Me too.
That's my goal in life. That's my New Year's resolution, to get taller.
To get taller. Mine was to drink a little more water. I finally had my first soda. It's been 10 days. I quit cold turkey. Not good.
Mine might be the opposite.
Drink more.
I don't think I haven't had water in 2019. I can say it.
That's an issue.
It's been a while.
Let's do this one. Buyers, sellers, maybe some holders, like stock trading.
Yeah, that doesn't help me.
That doesn't help you?
I know nothing about stock.
Yeah, you buy, sell, or hold. We're halfway through the game for Philly.
Down 1-0.
I think we're down 1-0?
Yeah.
Motherfucker. We're going to edit that out.
Underperforming again.
We're going to edit that out.
In Philly. We never do well in Philly.
Remember.
It seems like. Not shooting them. That's a positive.
It's second period, dude. We're coming. It's coming.
5 goals are coming.
All right. We're going to do buyers, selling, who's going to buy, who's going to sell, who should hold. Kind of like when you're buying stocks, sell your stock if you think it's going to be good. This is for the trading block, or if you need to hold. Now, the team that I think needs to hold, let me look at this list. The teams that I think that needs to hold for me.
The peg.
Winnipeg can hold, Dallas can hold, Washington can hold, Pittsburgh can hold. Toronto and Tampa can hold, Boston can probably buy somebody, and Buffalo could buy somebody. Montreal could give somebody. Dallas could sell if they really wanted to, but I don't want them to.
I think Dallas should be a buyer.
Who are they going to get?
I think they need a second line forward.
For
Any of their bottom guys, basically.
who are you going to give away?
Brett Ritchie has been a hot topic this year for the Stars. Everybody wants Ritchie gone. Everybody wants Honka gone. Could package them together. Trade them in for Simmons. That's what everybody's been throwing around. Simmons is a good second line guy for you.
Right, but you're giving a third and a 6 for a second.
I don't know. Just throwing names out there.
Yeah, there are names. I don't know. I think Columbus. If you could
Columbus
sell,
might be a seller.
Columbus could sell. Columbus also needs to buy. Carolina, I think, is 1, maybe 2 pieces away from steamrolling people. They're pretty good at that. I think if you're Minnesota, you got about 4 more weeks. I would say sell.
I mean, I don't know who you would get rid of for Minnesota. And they have good pieces there. But, I mean, there's not really much you can add or subtract that's going to make that team really any different to me.
You could take away people.
They're kind of just there to me.
You could take... Let me look at this. Because I know this is going to be really controversial, but St. Louis is also buying and selling at the same time. You can have, I think you can have 2 in 1, but to me, St. Louis is going to be more. There we go. It helps when you can pull stuff up. What am I looking for here? It should be somewhere down here, isn't it? It's easier on the app to find stuff. Gotta be honest with you. Becoming wild. That's funny.
Did you get rid of Stahl? Or you keep Stahl around? Keep stalling.
Keep stalling.
Pun intended.
My wild account, that is not good. Team, score, shop. What am I? Wild TV. Excuse you, Sass. Team. Here we go. Team roster. It helps when you know what you're looking for here. Alright. You could probably get rid of Eriksson Ek if you wanted to. Eric Fair would be someone that has experience. I don't know if you would want to get rid of Koivu or Coyle. You could probably get something for Niederreiter, Parise if you wanted to. I think you keep Brodin and Dumba. You could probably move Prosser or Patterin. You definitely keep Spurgeon, and I think you keep Suter. And you keep both of those guys. Or you could trade Stalock for picks. So I think Minnesota could sell some people. I think you could sell probably Koivu. You could sell Koivu and Coyle and Stahl and Parise, and everyone would be like, "Whoa, now you're getting rid of the rest of the team." But I'm like, if you're not going to make playoffs and they're going to get older,
start getting younger.
Or are you going to rebuild? You're already the oldest team. Are you going to rebuild here?
What? I mean, they've been dealing with injuries to Parise and Suter.
Mm-hmm.
And those are your 2 biggest cap spaces on the team, taking up about $22 million a season, maybe more.
Maybe more, and it would open up spaces for you. Detroit, I think you hold because you have so much young talent. What would you want to get rid of? Who would you want to get rid of? Daly? Who's going to want an older person? You know, like you're going to try to make a playoff run if you're there. Chicago could sell. Chicago's always selling people.
They're ready to deal with anybody. Huh?
Yeah.
Especially Carolina.
Arizona, I don't know.
They could add some pieces from Chicago into Carolina. Take them over the top.
I don't know what Chicago's doing, but Chicago usually is moving people around. I don't think you deal with anybody from Arizona. Come on, work with me, laptop. Philadelphia. I know the Blues were thinking about moving a bunch of people.
I think Philly's going to be a big seller.
I think Philly's about to clean a lot of house.
LA could be a possibility. The
LA
only people
could
you're
move.
not going to move is Kopitar and Doughty. That's about it. And Quick. Your big three. But there's some other piece that Kovacek's not going to go anywhere. He signed that 3-year deal to stay with whoever he signed with.
Yeah, you're not going to move
Then
him.
again, he could just go back to the KHL again like he did last time.
Let me go let this dog out. Sorry, back to the topic. So I think if you're going to sell, like I'm going to look at the teams that I think you could start selling. Let's try to make this a little more interesting. If you were to sell, if you're a team that's selling, I think maybe Edmonton could sell. Arizona, you have nothing left to sell.
You sold everything.
Rangers have nothing left to sell. Islanders have nothing left to sell. Those, I'm going to type this out real quick. I think selling would be the Blues, Wild, Kings.
Oilers.
I don't know, man. You have too much talent, but you could move people if you wanted to.
Panthers, maybe.
Panthers could move some people. They would lose a lot of core people, but they're not awful. And the Flyers are definitely teams that could sell. Always Chicago. They're always looking for things to move. Better not. Some tow truck drivers here. This is not helpful to anything. Let's see. Who else could sell? Columbus could move people. I'll say that. I don't think they will. Columbus can move people. And always Ottawa. Remember we had this conversation earlier. Ottawa could move people.
Got Duchesne. I don't think Duchesne wants to be there again.
Duchesne
Or he doesn't want to be anywhere.
All right. Yeah. And then the teams that could buy, the teams that are looking to buy, I think are definitely Carolina is looking to maybe add 1 or 2 pieces, and I think you can give up some draft picks.
Islanders.
If
Possibly.
Yeah, the Islanders. They're not too far out. Islanders, Boston will look to buy. I don't know what they would give. I don't know if Boston has any picks or what they would do, but Boston, maybe
Colorado?
Maybe Colorado.
Because they got 2 first picks, I think,
They could do.
coming up.
You could. I would say the Ducks really need to do something. Ducks just seem
Vegas?
stagnant. Vegas moved some people in the offseason. I don't know if they're willing to
They made a
move
couple
people
of
now.
moves. So they got Pacioretty in. They got rid of Tatar. Well, for Pacioretty.
And then they had Stasny.
Stastny, yeah. I think he's been injured most of the set because I haven't seen him. Every time I've watched Vegas, I don't think I've seen Stastny at all. Or he just hasn't been effective.
Um,
I think Nashville is just built
Nashville's
for
fine.
the future.
Nashville's fine. Winnipeg's fine. Montreal.
Yeah.
Montreal would need to do something. I'm looking at this season, like who is going to try to make a run and who is there. And I would say Buffalo would also look to maybe add just a little experience on the bottom end. So like they could honestly like who's a good third line guy that has experience, like Fair. Or maybe someone from Vancouver that's kind of rebuilding.
I think Toronto could deal with somebody. Possibly.
Toronto could sell. I don't know if they'd want to. Toronto.
Even though he just signed that big deal.
There's got to be one, and I say maybe Dallas could buy somebody. Yeah, if there's like background noise between the dog, there's also a tow truck outside. I don't know how this is going to work out in editing, but this is probably going to take a while for the buying and the selling stuff as we try to organize it. But if you hear a tow truck, hopefully it's not Bodie's car. If so, we're going to have some issues because, like, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe Vancouver.
Calgary, maybe?
I'll say, and for the maybe of the buyers, we'll put the Flames, the Stars, and Vancouver. The Canucks are looking to buy. Is that a fair assessment of?
I think so.
And if I said the teams most likely to hold, teams that are most likely to just stay, most likely to do nothing or hold or maybe trade, well, they're not going to do anything. I don't think Arizona should do anything. Arizona just needs to stop.
Stop selling everyone.
Arizona needs to stop. I don't think Detroit has many options to do much.
Or the Rangers.
The Rangers don't know what they have yet, so like the Rangers could sell somebody, but I don't know who they would sell or why they would sell them.
Yeah.
They could get rid of Zuccarello for somebody, but
Might get you a couple of players.
Yeah. In turn for it. I don't think Dallas. I honestly don't think Dallas needs to do much. Dallas won't do anything. Nashville won't do anything. Nashville doesn't need to do anything, in my opinion. They added Torres over last season. They added Torres for somebody, and that worked out well. So it's going to be a player for a player, but I don't think anyone's going to be moving anytime soon. Winnipeg, no one wants to move there. I'm not saying anyone wants to move to Winnipeg. I don't think Winnipeg is going to be moving people, right? San Jose. I think San Jose might.
Because they still haven't signed Carlson, have they? He's a free agent after this season.
I think he's going to stay, though. If you move to...
Like I said, if you took that long to make a decision,
yeah,
then I think he's going to stay there. It just has to be for
the
right amount.
I think San Jose's looking for somebody, too.
You could add somebody. Maybe.
I'm going to put San Jose with Vancouver as they might buy somebody. They're not going to sell. They have nothing left to sell.
No.
But I don't think they're going to do anything.
I say they gave it up for Carlson, but they pretty much got him for nothing. A
That was a lot.
draft picks and 2 players that haven't been in the NHL yet.
I'll say we'll put Vegas in there. Washington and Pittsburgh. I can spell well.
I don't think either of those teams have added anybody these last couple of years at
They
the trade deadline.
traded. I know Pittsburgh traded. I swear to God, they traded. I know they got rid of Sherry. He went to Buffalo, and they got rid of somebody else for Pearson.
They added Colin. Well, Colin came back.
Colin came
He's
back.
like 41 years old.
Oh God,
And
who
then
they got?
Jack Johnson.
Was it Hagelin? They got rid of Hagelin for
Got rid of Hagelin
for Pearson.
to LA, which I didn't understand that move at all. It was kind of just like, all right, that seems kind of ineffective.
Yeah. Washington, Pittsburgh. Who else?
Tampa Bay.
Tampa's not yet. Tampa never really moves anybody, to be honest.
Boston is probably going to be a buyer.
Boston needs to. Yeah, I said Boston needs to buy.
Toronto's not going to move anyone.
Did I write Toronto?
I think we put Toronto as a seller, possibly.
I think they get rid
so
of
many pieces
Yeah,
that they can afford to lose somebody.
they could. And Edmonton. The Oilers aren't. The Oilers could sell people, but I don't think they're gonna. They have too much talent. They just don't have a coach. They honestly don't have a coach. I think that's about. I think New Jersey's not going to do much. New Jersey's just like we were injured and we have our pieces in place. We just don't have the health. You know, they just had like a bad run of health.
Mm-hmm.
And St. Louis had that new coach, and so he goes, They aren't going to fire him and they're not going to move anybody because they were always out. St. Louis had injuries, but honestly, they might move Tarasenko. That'd be wild. That'd be wild.
It's gonna be like it'll be one of those Subban Weber trades, 1-for-1 or somebody.
Yeah, it's not going to be, or they just wait. And maybe. I feel like we're leaving people out.
Montreal.
I said they would buy, right? They're looking to buy. We have them in Carolina, New York, the Islanders, Boston, Colorado, Ducks, Vegas, Montreal, Buffalo.
Named every team.
Yeah, I think we did this well. We did this good enough. We did it all right. Well, I'm also not on Twitter, and I don't think we're following insiders. Again, we're not really.
I haven't really heard much about
anything moving
yet because they're still a month out. So
they're a month out.
Kind of gotta wait till you get to about the 2-week mark before you start hearing anything. I think the last time Dallas really did anything was when they traded for Brad Richards.
Yeah,
that's about the last time they made a good trade at the trade. The last time I think they did anything at the trade deadline, they sold a house, which is when they got rid of like Ryder and Yager. God knows who else. Sheldon Surrey, that old team.
I think that's what's going to happen.
Dallas was just old.
I think these are the people that are. I think we have this list right of people who are going to sell: Blues, Wild, Kings, Oilers, Panthers, Flyers, Blackhawks, Blue Jackets, Ottawa, and possibly Toronto. They have enough pieces to move to where it won't hurt anything. The people that really should. I think the people that are going to buy, I don't know if you agree with this list, but I think the people that are going to buy should be Carolina, the Islanders to bulk up a little bit. Boston just needs depth. Colorado needs some depth. Anaheim just needs help. Health.
They need help.
Need help. Vegas could add one, maybe do a 1-for-1. They're all right. Montreal would give up picks to bring people in. Yeah. Buffalo would do the same. And then I said maybe the Flames. The Flames, they could get rid of James Neal if they needed to.
Dump that contract.
Well, they need like somebody else. The Stars have so much talent around. They're just young, or they're not producing.
The beginning of the show, he's been one of the biggest disappointments this season.
Who?
Neal. And Wild Bill. Which I think everybody that played in Vegas last year is having a disappointing season.
Vancouver, that's a surprise because they're doing really well. But I think they might buy, or they just sit there. They sit there and just do trades. And San Jose might buy one person, or trade for one person, or do like addition. Basically, add people that would make a big run.
Scoring.
Yeah,
you've got the defense.
The teams that most likely like just hold and are fine with their roster is Arizona, Detroit, the Rangers, the Stars, the Predators, the Jets, the Sharks, the Knights, Capitals, Penguins, Lightning, Leafs, Oilers, and New Jersey. I don't think anybody needs to do anything for this.
They've got the pieces there. They just need to figure out how to use them.
Or be healthy.
Or be healthy.
Some of these people are on there because they just need to be healthy. Or the teams that I don't think do anything, like Arizona, Detroit, and New York. Arizona and the Rangers have the most in common because they don't have people. They don't have the talent that I think everyone else has. So you're kind of sitting in the middle of, we're just going to do the draft. We're low enough to where we can get a good player. Detroit has enough talent to where it's like, I don't think the coach is going to make it still. It's real iffy to me. So, I think that's
pretty comprehensive list.
Pretty good list, yeah. And then, I don't know, you want to add anything else?
Okay. Not that I can think of.
No. We can do Seattle next episode before whatever, and maybe the All-Star game. I will say this now. I'm not promoting you to vote. I don't know when we're going to upload this, but my philosophy is I haven't voted in about 3 years for an All-Star game. But my coworker asked me, "Oh, do you vote? Because they want us to vote for Sagan. So I've been voting every day for Sagan. And I look at him and I go, why do you want to send Sagan? And he goes, so he can go to an All-Star game with Miro. That's fine. If you want your players to go, great. To show the world that it's an All-Star game.
I would send the best players.
I don't send anyone from Dallas.
No. I mean, Miro's kind of earned it.
Miro's
Yeah,
earned it. I get you need one person.
I think it's cool that most people voted for him. Well, I say voted for him. They have to pick at least one player from each team now.
Yeah. I get you have to send one
Everybody gets
person.
a trophy now.
Yeah. I get the All-Star game. You have to send one person from each team.
I think it's more entertaining because everybody's represented.
Yeah.
Well, then it's always the same thing. It snubs everybody, which it snubs even more people now because you only send 10 players.
That's fine.
Because you have 7 forwards and 2 defensemen and a goalie.
I'm fine with that. I don't need the Stars to be playing in the All-Star game.
Save it up. Save it up for the post All-Star break when you need to. We could talk about Ovechkin. He's
Rest
sitting
him.
it out.
Yeah, rest them.
He was voted as captain by the fans. He's like, nah, I'm going to save it for my team's stretch run to the playoffs here.
I'm fine with that. I'm completely...
I was like, he's done it before, and I'm like, I don't think anyone cares. People make it out to be more of a big deal because they're like, well, you have to sit out of games, and I'm like, I'll take that. It keeps him healthy.
I think he would much rather play in the Olympics if he could get the Olympic break back. He's more likely to play in the Olympics to represent your country. That's a bigger deal to me.
Gold.
Yeah, that's a bigger deal to me. If you go represent your country,
that's a whole different thing.
That's a different thing. But this All-Star game, sit out. And again, I don't vote for Stars in the All-Star game. I haven't voted, but if I was to vote,
since it was in Dallas.
Yeah. If I was to vote, and when they were in Dallas, I wanted more Dallas Stars players. And now that I've gotten older, I'm like, I don't want our guys to go. I go, it's not because I think it's like an injury-prone thing. I just don't want them to fly out there, compete. It takes a lot out of them. It's a lot of travel when you could rest. Yeah,
Which now it's for $1 million, but they're making money, so it's really just to put on a show.
I want a good show.
And now with 3-on-3, you're putting out even more.
Send more people for Like I would vote a lot more for Jeff Skinner. I know Buffalo's like, let's send Skinner. I vote for
Put
Skinner.
Up the guys that aren't gonna get selected because it's always like, well, it doesn't matter what kind of season they're having. Ovechkin's going to go, Crosby's going to go, all these players. I'm like, send some people that may never get the chance to play in an All-Star game.
Make it interesting.
Send the rookies together. It's like, all right, we'll see how this works.
Or send the teams that are bottom, send Kopitar and Kovalchuk. Yeah. The teams that aren't going to play in the postseason, send those guys. I don't want my own team going. It's a day of rest that they're not going to have. It's a slight injury possibility. It's not huge. They're not out there blocking shots.
Yeah. But then you have the skills competition, too, which takes out some stuff, some energy from them. Fastest skater, hardest shot, all that stuff. So.
You could have a freak accident injury in that. I'm saying it's slight. But I don't send my own guys. And my coworker looked at me funny, and I go, I don't.
Yeah.
I send other people's people. And it's not like the Pro Bowl where they play at the end of the season, right before the Super Bowl.
This one's in the middle of the season.
This one's in the middle of the season. And it doesn't count for anything. Yeah, it doesn't count for anything either. I know in baseball it counts for home field.
Well, not anymore.
Well, that's dumb.
They changed that. I was like, I thought it was good. I think the teams, whenever it comes playoff time, home field advantage in the World Series shouldn't be decided by an All-Star game. I think it should be the team that has the best record.
I think the All-Star game matters.
It screwed the Rangers 2 years in a row.
Look.
You lose the All-Star game, you lose home field advantage.
But at least he gave it a purpose, I mean, the purpose is to send the best and show,
Which
fun.
With baseball, too, it's an actual game. Hockey, it's kind of a joke kind of game. Football, it's an actual game. You're hitting, catching all that. Hockey, it's kind of like guys are trying to pass it over to somebody so they can score. And it's kind of just a 3-on-0, basically, or 2-on-0. Nobody's really... They're trying, but not really.
I would rank it, if I had to rank All-Star games, like the NBA does it really well. Excuse me. Baseball's still kind of slow for me.
It's still a baseball game.
It's still a baseball
basically.
game. Yeah.
It's nothing special. You're just and plus with the baseball, the rosters are so big that when you get voted in the All-Star game, you're probably playing an inning at the most.
Well, they were doing that when you had 20-man rosters.
At bat, so it's the All-Star game in baseball is you might get to see your player for one inning, possibly one at bat. Well, and that's about it.
They were doing that when they had 20-man rosters. You would have 2 or 3 representatives from each team at least.
Yeah.
So I think that would, if you did that, but it goes back down to, well, no one tunes into the Pro Bowl. No one was tuning into the 3-on-3 revived it.
Yeah,
but
I think that made it more
interesting.
fun.
But it takes 3-on-3 overtime for 5 minutes, takes a lot out of everybody. So now you're going to do that for a period, and you're going to send your own players to go?
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that. Miro's young. I get Miro's young, but I don't want to send.
He's fine. He can get through it. He's 19.
You're 19, yeah, but I don't want to send, like, Sagan to go do that. I'm like, that's a lot of skating. It's a lot of, like, minimum effort, but you still got to move. It's, like, still fast. I'm not doing it.
You have a really short bench.
You have a short bench,
like
anyways. Yeah.
2 lines or 3 lines.
I'm not doing that. Now, if it was, like, at the end of the season, yeah, I'd want to see my players play. But I think the NFL has it wrong, too. The NFL has, like, the lowest rating on All-Star games. Because it's like, it's
I don't
not...
think I've ever watched a Pro Bowl.
It's
just not interesting.
You have, like... It's like you have 4 quarterbacks.
Plus, it's like right before the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So everyone's kind of like, we'd rather watch the Super Bowl.
It's interesting to me because it's like you have 4 quarterbacks and then you have, like, some of the really good wide receivers, and you always wonder, like, oh, what if these quarterbacks and wide receivers got together? And that's kind of exciting to watch.
Yeah. It's like, well, he's never going to be on that team, but it'd be interesting to see what it looked like if they were together.
Yeah, like what kind of dynamic they'd have. The corners, you usually get, like, really good defensive matchups. I get what they're doing, but the players are like, I don't want to injure myself playing full out.
Because it's always the same. It's like, oh, I wonder what it'd be like if Ovechkin and Crosby were on the same team together. I'm like, I genuinely think they don't like each other. On or off that. It's always weird. They show them like, oh, they're talking together or whatever, but it doesn't seem like either of them is ever laughing or joking together. They're just like, they don't like each other.
I think they're just
they're 2
cordial.
different players.
I think they're just cordial with each other. I think
it's more of a business relationship.
I think they're respected as in, like, yeah, that's fine.
And it's changed. I read a story the other day. They're like, no, there used to be like this big rivalry between Ovechkin and Malkin. It's like they just hated each other, and it's like it seems like the last couple All-Star games, I'm like, they love each other. Maybe it's a Russian thing, but it's just like I think they just play kind of the same type of game.
It's something. But the All-Star game, the jerseys, God, they're ones in Nashville. I remember watching the ones in Nashville.
I like those.
They're getting a little more, God, the purple ones, they're getting a little more ridiculous.
The one this year was kind of plain to me.
I'm fine with the plain ones.
It's just kind of,
Nah.
I don't know.
I don't need the highlighter colors.
I miss the old school, like that had the Dallas Stars, like old star design on them. Like the East versus Western Conference.
The red, blue
versus red.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the color rush of the NHL.
That's fine. I was okay with that. That's
I
better
like the ones
than
in Nashville when it had the Central had the orange and the black, and then they had the purple.
It looked like a box of highlighters. It exploded all over them, and I hate it.
I just liked it because it was kind of simple.
The North American ones.
Those were the
Worlds
World Cup jerseys.
Some of those were okay, and the others were just like, why?
I really like the North America.
Some of these people
Which
look
is kind
like
of how San Jose's looks this year.
You ever see the runners at like 6 a.m. wearing like the reflective? That's what it looked like to me. You put out a bunch of like traffic cones and reflectors, and you're like, go play in center ice with a bunch of lights on you, and you're kind of gonna shine. And
I just like North America's that orange and the silver and black. It just kind of worked.
It kind of worked, but I'm just like, dude, the highlighter colors have to stop. Let's get back. Let's go back to earthy tones. Let's just go back to making it look clean and sharp, and not like a 5-year-old was like, I like neon yellow. We
like
should put
Tampa
this everywhere.
Bay.
Yeah.
Was that Tampa Bay? I think they had an All-Star game a couple years ago. Yeah, because Stamkos and all them were voted in.
Yeah.
So they had like the blue with the neon highlighter on the side.
I thought that was last year. Dude, that looked ugly.
It's like blue and yellow.
It looked ugly to me. I was like, see, that
LA is the one I'm thinking of. LA had just the regular, or no, Nashville had the regular just black with the orange.
Yeah, Nashville had...
They were all sort of just black jerseys with different colors on them.
I don't think they're good, but again, I think the All-Star game is okay. Yeah. But I think basketball is better, and then it's hockey, then baseball, and then football.
I just like that NHL changed to 3-on-3.
I think the NFL is going to change to 7-on-7.
And the Central has just never been good at the All-Star game since they changed it to 3-on-3, and it makes no sense to me. They just look slow.
I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting. I am Looking forward to it. I haven't voted yet. I don't plan on voting.
I haven't voted at all.
I haven't voted the past 3 years. I'm always excited to see like the skills competition and
Oh
stuff
no,
like that.
I take it back. I did vote this year. I didn't vote for Sagan, despite being a Stars fan. I voted for Landeskog. Like, if anybody deserves to get in, it's him.
I get
Just the Colorado players.
the deserving of voting for somebody to get in there, but again, I'm like, I'm not voting to send Sagan to 3-on-3.
Yeah.
It's a day of rest he could have.
Oh, I'm fine. Send Colorado. Send all the rest of them. Let us stay at home.
Yes.
Hire out the rest of the division.
Send Toez and Kane. But,
Oh, they should have a crossover. Have a trade like they used to do whenever the... I liked it whenever they did that. Had the captains and then they did the draft. I thought that was exciting because then they traded Sagan for Kessel, which I thought was hilarious.
the NBA does the draft.
And then the one year Kessel was picked last.
Yeah.
So he got the free car.
Yeah, no, see, that was exciting. The players enjoyed that. Like, I like the aspect of the players drafting their own teams and voting for captains to draft.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with Ovechkin sitting out. Some people might hate that. I'm fine with it. It's a business
I
decision.
thought that was exciting because they're like, they'll have the Sedins on 2 different teams.
That would be so much fun. I do enjoy it, but well,
You could trade Panarin over to the West. Put
that'd
him
be-
back on a line with Kane and Taves.
it would be very interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Next episode, I'm sure we'll talk about the future. We left out the Winter Classic.
Oh, big story, man.
I know. We'll talk about that in 5.
We're less than 365 days away.
Dude.
Counting down.
Yeah, I know you're counting it. I know
The
you're
old
counting.
Cotton Bowl.
I
Kind of an interesting choice.
hate the Cotton
I think
Bowl.
it just because it holds more people.
I don't know if it holds more
And
people.
it's not Jerry's World.
Jerry's World would hold more people. It's technically not outside, though.
That's why they didn't do it there, I think.
Hmm.
And plus the Cotton Bowl, you have Fair Part. We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about it.
It gives you more options to do stuff around the game.
This is...
Put up those fair rides. Get that Ferris wheel going.
Get the Ferris wheel going. You got the little
Charge
trams.
$25 a person to go on the freaking Ferris wheel.
No, we'll see. But the Winter Classic, we can talk about. The draft, we can talk about. The playoffs, we can talk about, like, the future heading down the road. But
Seattle.
I think today was pretty good. We are floating right around the 2-hour mark.
Plus, we got big news with the Seattle getting an expansion team. They're getting a draft. They're getting an All-Star game within the next 7 years. Bettman said.
Yeah, we'll
So
talk
that kind of
about.
screws the other teams
Well-
that have been in the league.
We'll talk about all of that next time on 5, right? We could do the we forgot Seattle, the Winter Classic. I mean, we didn't. I don't think we just want to rush this on
Yeah.
time. But that's it. Sorry about the dog. Once again, terrible at opening intros.
We'll
We're
get
gonna
into it.
we'll get into it. We're gonna try to add some pictures. That way we can do something. I know we didn't use video on this one because we're gonna try to invest in a new camera in a couple months. Let's see what else. Don't forget to subscribe or follow because this is a train wreck. But I'm telling you, we are working it out as we go.
It's a train
So
wreck in progress.
hopefully it's one of those train wrecks you can't take your eyes off of. We're hoping for that kind. Like, it's so bad you can't look away. We want to be so bad you can't look away. And you're like, you produce 2 hours of content and no one watches you. And we're like, yeah.
That's what we do, man.
We get in here and we talk about whatever. But I'm looking forward to the summer. I think the summer will be a lot more exciting for people. And we'll actually have the right equipment and a grander idea of what we're going to do. But
Yeah.
other than that, I don't know when the next time is we're going to meet. I don't know when we're going to upload this video or the rest of them. But if we can get the pictures in, I can kind of work on that tonight and tomorrow or Saturday or do that Sunday and then kind of stream it all up in one if that's all good. But we will definitely work on our social media accounts. I know our Twitter is more active than any of them. And I will try to link them in the description below. So, I don't know. Any last words?
Thanks for listening.
Advice?
Go Stars. Watch hockey. Don't watch ESPN.
Oh, God.
Don't do it. Creating the rivalry now. I've
Fight.
hated hockey since the 90s. Well, not the 90s. Early 2000s.
Really do. It's
It's ABC's fault. It's Disney's fault. I'll blame it on Disney.
We'll add that to the list of people we are making enemies with, along with
They don't
In-N-Out.
own the Ducks anymore, so
Yeah.
I can say that.
All right. Well, that's it.